Welcome to the Weekly Beat. That's right, it is Thursday, March 15th, episode number 7, and you look awfully smug, don't you,
Will Wade
Mr.
is
Rizzo?
God. I love that
That's
man.
it. Hands down.
Didn't think I could love him anymore.
Until
Then he won postseason basketball games and shoved it in the face of ULL, and now I love him even more.
Well, let's talk about that for a second. You know, the NIT is not the end game. You know, it's not the major goal, but it is postseason basketball for the Tigers, a team that won almost no games at all last year. Will Wade made some major accomplishments. That was really, really good to see. However, we do get NIT this year, and Bob Marlin, the head coach of the ULL Raging Cajuns, had some things to say before the game this week. He was not happy.
No, but I mean, they got it. I mean, they got it right.
Well, okay,
if you need any more proof of that, just go listen to Will Wade break it all down for you.
Listen, I agree. He's very convincing, but Bob Marlin thinks that ULL with their 27 wins should have been a higher seed, should have been a host site, rather than having to go down the road to the PMAC to play the Tigers, because it took us 2 years to get 27 wins, as he so graciously told us. They had their RPI is better.
It is, dude.
Their RPI is better.
Not only that, they beat barn burners inside the state.
They did.
Teams that strike fear in others, like Louisiana College.
Well, you know, brother, they also beat Xavier of New Orleans. Xavier of New Orleans.
That small private school?
Right.
Oh, okay.
Does that count towards your RPI?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that's part of their 27.
Only Division I programs count towards your RPI.
I see. So, here's the deal. Bob Marlin, not happy. Will Wade, being the classy guy that he is,
right,
decided that he wanted to make sure that ULL enjoyed their experience at the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. And so last night, the Tigers win 84-76 over the Raging Cajuns. And with 12 seconds to go, Will Wade decides to take a timeout. The game's in hand. But then he just points over at Bob Marlin and says, "You just enjoy that one."
Well, you know, it's great to see. And that's the thing, is the rivalry between ULL and LSU, it's not just about sports. That's the thing. It's everything in between. They have a very passionate alumni base who loves their school, just like LSU does.
Understandably
and
so.
I mean, they think they are the best university in the state, and I respect that. That's fine, but
it is very interesting to me because there is an actual cultural difference.
There is.
You know, a lot of people, I say that, and that is a very generalizing statement, but when I have met people from Lafayette, they are very proud of being from Lafayette, which is fine, which is great. You know, I go for it, by all means. However, do not bite off more than you can chew.
Exactly. And I don't blame Bob Marlin for doing what he did. I mean, that's what you do. You needed to get your team. From an outsider's view, I can imagine that he was telling his team the whole time that they were going to host. You know, that he probably, if he really believed that strongly they should have hosted, he was probably telling his team that. That's
true.
So when you don't, you probably need a way to get them more fired up. And what better way than to take shots at a crosstown rival in LSU? And that's what he did. And I respect him for that. He stuck up for his program and whatnot. But sometimes you just need to watch what you say and maybe say less.
So it's very interesting because after the Tigers win, first of all, during that timeout, Bob Marlin had to be restrained. He had to be restrained.
This is the NIT, people. This is great.
You know, it got national attention. Rhys Davis from ESPN was tweeting about it and said, "This is much better than any other basketball game on right now. Give me all the drama." But on top of that, after the game, in their post-conference pressers, Bob Marlin doubled down on what he said.
He did.
You know, he could have backed off and said, "You know what? That's a good team. It's a good program. My mistake." Did not do that. He said, "You know what? I was still right. This should have still been at the Cajun Dome. It's a better gym."
It's a better gym. Which, the Cajun Dome must actually be a gym. We play in an arena. They actually play in a gym, I think.
Which would make them a better gym than our
but
arena.
We have an arena.
But, I mean, he's not wrong, I suppose.
I guess not. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of him doubling down on his comments.
I don't
to me-
blame him.
Okay, yeah, I don't blame him.
He couldn't because of his team. Like he could not, as a man and a head coach trying to instill leadership skills in his team, back off of what he said.
I understand, but it just makes you look even worse.
Oh no,
you feel me on that?
No, I completely agree.
That's
I just
terrible.
think I understand why he did it.
We went out, we backed up everything we said, but we lost, and now we have to go back down I-10 West, and I mean, come on, like you said your gym's better. You said your gym's better. The atmosphere in the PMAC last night, which wasn't full, by the way, it looked full on TV,
right,
but it wasn't full. They did. I mean, that was one of the best atmospheres. It was second to none last night, and it wasn't even full.
Right.
So, and I mean, then not to mention you lost the game, but. So I guess that's what I kind of have a problem with, is him saying, I said what I said and I backed it up. Well, no, you didn't, because you lost.
Right. Here's my deal.
You can still say I stand by what I said, but not you backed it up.
Right.
Because you lost. You didn't.
There were chants of little brother all throughout the PMAC last night, which was funny. I in no way am saying that LSU is a million miles better than these programs, and that our in-state little brothers should have no right to try to force these rivalries to happen. Here's the deal. Here's how you make a rivalry. You play tight, competitive games.
Yeah.
That was last night. Last night was a tight, competitive basketball game.
It was a very good game.
That could have been the start of a home-and-home series without all the crap that you had to say before. You just pissed Will Wade off, which, by the way, not the smartest thing to do,
Probably
in
not.
case you realized. But I will say the in-state schools are doing very well. ULL and NIT berth. Southeastern Baseball beat Mississippi State for the 6th straight time yesterday in baseball. I mean, and Mississippi State, no slouch.
No, I would not call them a slouch.
No, I would not call them a slouch either. So, it's exciting that there can be in-state rivalry. It needs to come about in a different way than this.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. More towards the game, real quick, though. LSU, they just played good... I'd say good fundamental basketball. So they didn't play great. They did have some fouls.
Turned the ball over a little much.
They turned the ball over 16 times. Tremont Waters had 4 fouls, finished the game with 4 fouls, which that's not really what you want to see.
No.
But Duop Reith is the story of the game for LSU.
10 of 14.
Yep.
26 points, 11 boards.
Rebounds.
Had the game of his season last night. And wins it, basically, with the help of Sampson for the Tigers. Really, really great to see, especially in what could have been our last game of the season. Obviously, we keep moving on. We face Utah next. But if those guys are the guys that can start coming around as Will Wade brings in 4- and 5-star recruits, we have ourselves a good basketball team heading into next season.
And not only that, Duop was just an Iron Man for LSU last night. He was one of 3 players who played a team-high 31 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he just was constantly out there. Like you said, 10 of 14. He was also 4 for 4 from the stripe, which is just huge. LSU,
it is. It's major because LSU, typically the stripe is a plague. It just, get us away from there.
LSU,
but Reith hit him when it counted.
22 of 30 last night from the stripe, which is very good. Not to be outdone, ULL was 15 of 19, which is also very good. Skylar Mays, also another bright spot for LSU with his 11 points.
Agreed.
Last night.
Reith 4 blocks as well. Things that need to be said. Reith, an all-around performance last night.
I will say that's something I noticed watching the end of that game last night was LSU's play around the rim towards the end of that game, down the stretch, was the best I think I've seen it this entire year.
I
They were
agree.
blocking shots. LSU had 8 blocks last night. Mm-hmm. That hasn't happened all year. Epps had 2, and like you said, Reith had 4. I mean, that's what you need from those guys.
The interior guys that have struggled and have been out-rebounded all season long played a very strong game offensively and defensively. We outscored ULL with points in the paint, and it wasn't even close. Mm-mm. And defensively, with those blocks, I mean, it was just a sight that we haven't seen much of this season. But in the first round of the NIT, the Tigers get it done against ULL.
I will say that they were pretty solid on the offensive glass. ULL was. I'm seeing 21 offensive rebounds, which is a bit much, but LSU had 26 defensive rebounds, so that helps offset it a little bit.
I will say the most important stat for me coming from last night is that at the end of the game, the LSU Tigers had 0 timeouts left. if Will Wade would have had another timeout, he would have used it, as he told us.
It's from his own mouth, yes.
That's what he said. He would have used another timeout just to let Bob Marlin soak it all in the P-Mac.
I have no problem with how Will Wade handled himself last night.
I agree.
I want to see that. That's what I want to see, especially for as flat as this LSU basketball program has been, especially on the sidelines, on the bench. You've never seen Johnny Jones do anything like that. That's what I want to see. I want to see my head coach pump up the crowd. I want to see him in Maui this year. Whenever, oh God, I forgot who they were playing. I think they were playing Michigan, and they made a basket to take the lead. Will Wade turned around and started beating on the scorer's table in excitement. I want to see that because that makes me want to go run through a brick wall and play for the man. I'm terrible at basketball.
I totally get it. It is the fire that has been lit under this basketball program thanks to Will Wade. It is a totally different culture. You have people invested. And I've said this before on the show, and I'm going to say it again because it really stuck out to me. He sold out a non-ranked SEC basketball game.
Yeah.
Sold it out this season. He just gets people there. He gets people excited to watch a team that is better than they should have been. Going to the second round of the NIT against Utah. Who knows what happens next? But overall, Will Wade, a huge, huge step forward for the LSU basketball program.
I do wish we were playing the next one at home, but
it is what it is. But we are not. I think this is typically the part where we do your doofus of the week.
Yeah.
And I could be wrong, but it might have a pretty general theme.
We're not going to do just the flat out doofus. We're going to have a little chat.
Okay.
Because look,
so some advice from Mr. Musso.
Because this is hard. Look, I know how it is. I grew up with a big brother. I'm the youngest in my family, and sometimes it's tough to be a little brother. But I feel, as still being a student at LSU, it's my obligation to help the people of Louisiana Lafayette, which by the way is your name, out. So come on, little brother, let's just have a chat from Big Brother here. You just got to accept what you are sometimes. And I know it's hard. Nothing's worse than when Big Brother crushes your dreams. Look no further. I'll change sports on you here. ULL, their baseball team. They're very good. They renovated the tee. It's gorgeous. It's awesome. It's great. They've been to Omaha one time, and it was just glorious for them. They went in the year 2000, and they are on top of the world, and then Big Brother just swoops in and snatches the national title. They're fifth, and look, that's hard. That's tough. We know. And last night, you talked all the noise. You said, we're going to beat you in your own gym. And Big Brother once again came in and just choked it out of you. And you lost again. And you had to make that long trip. Well, 40 minutes, not that long. But anyway, you had to make that trip you've made a lot of times.
Yeah.
Leaving Baton Rouge with a loss, and you just don't handle it very well. We need to handle it better. So here's what you do. You realize that you're a solid athletic program. You're a very good university. But you're not the flagship. And you're not an SEC school. You're not a Power 5 school. And you relish in those little things, like going to Omaha for your one trip and winning 27 games in the college basketball season and going to the NIT and getting to play on an ESPN network in a great venue, great gym like the Pete Maravich Assembly Center. But you temper your expectations and you realize we're just the little brother. And understand that Big Brother understands how you feel sometimes. We lose to Alabama every year in football. They're Big Brother to us. Everybody has that person in ULL, so you just have to understand who you are. And be proud of that and accept it.
It just hit me. You know who ULL is? They're Marty Jannetty.
They are Marty Jannetty.
And that makes LSU the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels.
That's who they are. And look, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, Jannetty was respectable.
Yeah.
People liked him.
And every once in a while, you'll score that win over LSU, and it'll be the greatest thing that's ever happened. And then, 5 years later, you'll get another one, and it'll be the greatest thing that's ever happened.
And that for me is the clear difference. When LSU beats an in-state rival, there's no talk.
Right.
When it happens the other way around, it is the end of the world as we know it.
And last night there would have been no talk had the great folks at Louisiana Lafayette not started the talk on Sunday night. So, I mean, Will Wade said it himself. He said, before Sunday, ULL wasn't even a thought in my mind.
Right.
You know? So, I mean, and then you made him game plan for you, beat you, and also when he had spare time, do all that nasty research on you and just completely mic drop on you last night, and it was fantastic.
You forced him to point at you and laugh. You forced that on yourself.
You did that. That was your fault, actually. You're bad. You're bad. So
we'll call it the little brother encouraging talk of the week.
Yes, that's what we'll call it. With
little family chat.
And just as any family, we love you, little brother, but got to keep you in your place sometimes.
But know your role.
Yeah, bingo. I mean, there's no better advice, is there, for Bob Marlin?
Know your role and shut your mouth.
He's a big fish in a small pond.
Yeah, got it.
I regret nothing.
Well, you shouldn't. Moving forward now, LSU basketball winding down, but you never know what happens moving forward in the NIT. LSU baseball, things are just starting to heat up. Non-conference play is over after last night, and we have SEC play starting this Friday night at the Box as Missouri comes to town. What do you think?
Well, here comes the 30-game grind. That is what it is. These are the games that matter.
LSU enters SEC play 12-6.
Yeah.
We win the Hawaii series after a slow start with the Bats on Friday night. But, those things happen. We beat South Alabama, which is a strong program in the midweek this week. Because midweek games matter when we win them. They don't matter when we lose them. That's how it works.
They don't even matter when we win them, to be honest with you.
I'm just kidding. But we do host Missouri this week. What do you learn from the first 18 games going into SEC play?
Well, I mean, you learn a lot about the team you have. You learn about who can a little bit about who can do what, because this is going to be a different animal. This is the grind. This is 30 games against top flight competition. Especially this year, the SEC is really, really, really deep. Mm-hmm. But we learned right now that LSU has options on this team, and they're good options.
Yeah.
AJ Labus has been fantastic. Mikhail Hilliard has been great. That's two freshman bright spots that have just been awesome. You've had guys like Taylor Peterson outside of last night, which was just not good. He stepped up. Austin Bain is the best player in America. You have
hands down.
Not
even an argument.
Yeah, he's like the Will Wade of college baseball.
Wow. The fighting Austin Bain.
The Bain train. You've seen that Zach Hess can indeed be a starter for you. Caleb Gilbert is starting to come around. And those are your big issues. But you've also seen the depth on the offensive and defensive side of the field, I guess, not really the side of the ball, but come and show up. LSU is fielding 983 on the season, which is big league. That is great. You want to field 980. That's anything above that is just extra. And you're doing it without your starting shortstop. And you're throwing a pitcher in at first base occasionally. And you did it for a while without your starting center fielder. So, I mean, you're seeing the depth. Your starting third baseman, who you had pegged coming in, is not there. You have Chris Reed playing. You're seeing the depth of this team. That's what you've learned, that you have options. And that's going to serve them well heading forward, I think.
I think you're absolutely right. With this past weekend, we lose 2-4 in the first game, but we come back and win 5-1 and 14-1 on Sunday, and then we beat South Alabama 9-4. But what I take away the most from those is not only were the Bats able to come back around after they struggled on Friday night, the pitching. Zach Hess did very well on Friday night. He did. 9 strikeouts, 3 earned runs, only 5 hits. I mean, those are the types of. If he gave you that outing every single time, you would be very much okay. Mm-hmm. But in the following 3 games, that Saturday and Sunday, and then this midweek game, the starting pitchers haven't given up a run.
No.
Not one. And that starts with Gilbert with 5 scoreless on Saturday, Hilliard with 5 1/3 scoreless on Sunday, and then Labus last night with 6 scoreless innings. So the big question mark going into the season, and we've talked about it repeatedly, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but it was the starting rotation. And based on the last 4 starts, I have confidence moving into SEC play.
I think you should. I'm anxious to see what Gilbert can do. Not Gilbert. Hilliard can do on a Sunday against SEC competition. But like I said, So we'll see how he does. I mean, the kid's thrown 17 and a third scoreless innings so far this year. I mean, that's obviously going to come to an end at some point.
I feel like we said that about somebody last year.
Yeah, and it did. It came to an end.
It did.
But, so, I mean, we'll see how he does. And, I mean, I think he'll do fine. LSU needs to look for 2 out of 3 this weekend. That would be a success. If they do lose 2 out of 3, you can kind of start to think more. These matter. These are the ones that matter. I still think this team's going to go anywhere from 18-12 to 19-11 in the league. And if they do that, I mean, that's going to be giant.
Well, that'll be more than good enough. And it's interesting because you said the SEC is very deep. Week in and week out, we're going to have challenging opponents. And it starts with Missouri. They haven't played a whole lot of anybody, but they are ranked in a poll at 24. But they are a team that is much improved, and we really don't know what they're made of yet because of their strength of schedule so far. Their strength of schedule is ranked at 207 in the country. Not that LSU is around 160. But in terms of out-of-conference play, LSU played a much stronger first 18 games of the season over Missouri's 16 games. But what do you expect this weekend? As we start SEC play, as the grind begins, Friday night, Zach Hess on the mound.
I think he'll be fine. I think you've seen what Hess is going to give you week in and week out now. I think he might need to start. They might need to start using his changeup a little bit more because they're really keen on that. They're sitting dead red fastball. He's been able to get away with it a little bit more because his slider has just been what it is, and that's a power put away pitch.
Right.
And he's been throwing it for strikes. But I would like to see him try to mix in his changeup a little bit more. That'd be one thing I'm looking for Friday night. Saturday night, of course, I'm looking to see how they do against the left-handed pitcher.
Yeah, Missouri's got a pretty solid starting 3 there for the weekend.
Their guy for tomorrow night, Bryce Montez Dioka, was part of a no-hitter. He threw 7 of the 9 innings no-hitter a couple weeks ago.
Doesn't matter who you're playing. That's impressive.
Yeah, and then on Sunday, like I said before, I'm looking to see how Mikael Hilliard makes the jump to SEC play. Overall for the weekend, I'm looking at the bullpen to see if they can be a little more consistent than they were last night.
They have done a lot of good in the first 18 games. Last night was kind of the opposite of that. They definitely didn't show out. But if they can be half as consistent as they have been for most of the first 18 games, they'll be a big help to the starting rotation.
And here's the thing about it though is, one of the problems last night was the walks came back for the bullpen. Mm-hmm. LSU only had 4 walks last night, but all 4 of them came from relievers. So, you cannot just give people, that's the worst thing you can do in baseball is give somebody a base. Mm-hmm. I will say this, as tough so far as the season has, as tough so far as the season has been, I've kind of just rolled with the punches, as I think most people who've watched this game of baseball before have.
Right.
LSU's 12-6 going into SEC play. They're 1 game off of their pace from last season. They were 13-5 heading into SEC play, and I think that season ended up okay.
I think that is a very important record to throw out.
So, everybody calm down. The sky's not falling yet. I said, look, you can start. These are the ones that count. So if they start having some of the same issues as they have so far in SEC play, then you got to think about it. Man, they got some good series this weekend.
Oh, yeah. No, it's going to be a stacked weekend. I want to ask you, offensively, who's your standout for this opening series? For me, I'm going Broussard. Yeah. He is a guy that has just put the bat on the ball. He has about 52 at-bats. He's only walked 3 times, and he's only struck out 4 times. He has been consistently putting the bat on the ball with 57 at-bats. It's been impressive.
He has 22 hits, 386 average, leads team in both those categories. He's even driven in 12. Mm-hmm. And he gets on base, 422 OBP. I mean, he's a solid player. For me, it's going to be the veterans. I want to see them really play. Duplantis has kind of been struggling a little bit lately. Watson's still come back from the injury. He had a good night last night, 2 for 4. I want to see him continue. But Daniel Cabrera is really who I want. He's up to 286. He's starting to hit the ball a little bit, but how's he going to do against left-handed pitching? And he needs to stay hot. He's starting to get hot. He needs to stay hot because LSU's going to need him to hit. If I had to pick one guy, though, I'm going to go with Austin Bain. I want to see how he does against SEC pitching.
Shocking, yeah.
I want to see how he does against SEC pitching. If he can sustain what he's done so far, can he do it against the SEC's arms? And he's going to face two good ones in Montez D'Oca on Friday night and Plasmeyer on Saturday.
So how many wins did the Tigers get with this opening SEC season?
I think they get two.
Two out of three?
I think they end up dropping one. It could be Saturday. I don't know. If they win Saturday, if they win Friday and Saturday, they're going to be in a very good position. But I would go into this one easing in because you still have a little bit of time to figure things out, mainly this weekend. Because when you go to Nashville next weekend, you're going to have everything set in stone and ready to go. But I would look for them to get at least two. I think they win the series, and I'll just go with two. But they could very well take all three.
A really exciting. This is the exciting time, and you mentioned it, the stacked weekend of series. We start against Missouri, and then it really starts to happen. So I'm really excited to see what starts in Alex Box this Friday. But let's go ahead and bring it to the Final Five. This time of year is so much fun. I mean, it really is.
March is
and March Madness. March Madness is just the most fun. Have you filled out your bracket?
I have three of them.
No, I have three as well.
One of them is actually for a class, so
Love that.
Yeah,
love that. I got to ask you, who do you have in the Final Four?
Final Four. I have Virginia because they've just been the most consistent team all season long. Mm-hmm. I think that continues. I know they just lost their sixth man, who's their leading scorer off the bench, but I think they can skate around that. I really do. I have Villanova because again they've just been really solid. I have North Carolina, a 2 seed.
Yeah.
Because Roy Williams is a great coach, and North Carolina, down the stretch, has played a little bit better basketball.
Yeah.
And then I have Michigan State, Sparty.
So those are your Final Four?
That's my Final Four.
I have Virginia as well. I also have Villanova. I also have Sparty. Mm-hmm. And I have Gonzaga actually edging out. Yeah, the 4 seed Gonzaga edging out North Carolina going into the Final Four. You know who I don't have in my Final Four is Xavier. Just because I didn't want any reference at all to Xavier of New Orleans. Different school, doesn't matter as well.
You know who else you don't have in your Final Four? ULL.
I don't have them.
You don't have them in there.
That's true.
That's right. They're not in there.
But those are my Final Four. And into my final, I have Gonzaga getting to Michigan State, and then I have Sparty winning it all.
Yeah. I have Virginia and Michigan State, and I actually, too, have Sparty winning it all.
This is rare for us.
Yeah,
this is not happening.
I just like their game this year, man. They at one point in the year they were as consistent and great as Virginia has played all year, and they have been at one point they were the most consistent team in the country. They were playing the best basketball in the country, and if they find that, because they have everything, they have the star power, they have the coaching. If they find that again, they're going to go, and I'm betting on them to find it. I think they find it.
I like it. I'm excited. I'm going to go ahead and keep us up to date here on the Weekly Beat with how our brackets are going, because more than likely ours will be better than yours, right? Maybe not. Maybe not. That's what I love about March Madness.
Maybe not.
That is what I love about March Madness is that our parents who don't care could have a bracket a million times better than ours.
Yep.
That's what I love about March Madness. By all means, share who you have in your Final Four, who you have winning the whole thing, because we love keeping up with that. So, one last thing before we go, and I think I need to mention it for my own good, and that's Tiger Woods.
Yeah, hey, Tiger Woods, man.
Tie for second, had a putt to force a playoff last week at the Valspar. He opens with a 4 under 68 at Arnold's tournament at Bay Hill.
Still one back? Did anybody match?
Hendrik Stenson hasn't shot 8 under par.
Oh, so, good Lord. Okay, so the afternoon was easier, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hendrik Stenson has the lead, but
he was 4 shots back.
But here's the difference that I see from Tiger now and Tiger before with the other failed comebacks. Tiger Woods made a double bogey today on 12. Mm-hmm. And then he birdied holes afterwards.
Yes, he did.
And previously, those when that would happen, when he would double bogey or make a couple bogeys in a row, you wouldn't hear from Tiger again. Mm-mm. And he's bouncing back, and I could not be more excited.
I am very happy to see him because golf is just more fun when Tiger is there. I mean, I'll watch it even if he's not, but that's just because I enjoy the sport. But it's nice to see him there because he brings different things than the rest of the tour does. And it's not a knock on them. It's just who Tiger has been and who he is. And right now it looks like who he's going to continue to be. So we'll see. I mean, man, Hendrik Stenson, I haven't looked at the standings as I've been doing things for class, but man, I didn't know he went out there and posted 8 under par. That's a big number on the first day, but we'll see if he can stick it out. And Tiger's in a good spot. 4 under par through one day is not bad.
The Tiger effect is alive and well.
Yes, it is.
I will say that. But a lot's going on this weekend. Baseball out the box. LSU plays in the NIT round 2 on Monday. We've got Tiger at Bay Hill. We've got all sorts of stuff going on. March Madness is abound everywhere. But thank you for joining us this week. By all means, follow us on Twitter at Spenser Hunt.
At Musa Matthew.
At The Weekly Beat BR to follow all of our good stuff. And we'll see you next week when the beat goes on.